Okay, thank you all for coming out. This is our second session. We had one yesterday afternoon. I'm Ron Curry. I'm Village Administrator. Mayor Jim Fahey is there if you have any questions. Melanie Romero, our clerk, is here. But the real stars of the show are Steve Groman, who is our engineer, and Michael Chavez, who is the head of our Department of Public Works. We've got all the drawings here for your particular pieces of property, what we're going to do, what we're planning to do. And so I'll turn it over to Steve right now. And throughout the whole course of the thing, anytime you have a question, don't hesitate to ask, because we'll hopefully have the answer for you. Thank
you. Good morning. Thanks for coming. My name is Steve Groman. I'm an engineer with WH Pacific. We're an engineering company in Albuquerque. We've been tasked with preparing drawings to extend the existing village sanitary sewer system through the streets in the Priestley-Coroval subdivision. I just briefly want to talk about what the existing system is that's in the village now. If you look at that green line on that drawing, that is an existing sewer system that was put in about 15 years ago. There are 6-inch diameter pipes that run from Old Church down to Meadowlark. Then it increases to 8-inch from Meadowlark, and it discharges into the city utility system down in front of Rudy's Barbecue, down off of Coors. That pipe is a low pressure sewer pipe. So it is a pressurized pipe that only holds liquids. There are no solids in that pipe. The system that was put in is called a STEP system, S-T-E-P. It stands for Septic Tank Effluent Pumps. So essentially, it takes liquids from the individual septic tanks and carries it down to the city of Albuquerque system. The way your existing septic tank works is when the sewage gets into that tank on your property, the solids sink to the bottom, floatables come up to the top, and the liquids in the tank currently drain by gravity into drain fields in your yard. What the STEP system does is it replaces those drain fields with a pump. And that pump draws off the liquids in the tank and pumps it into small diameter pipes that run down to the city system. When that main system was put in, that green line, stubs were put out at the cross streets for future connections so that no one would have to dig up Corrales Road again to make a connection. And if you look at that drawing, you see the dark blue down near the bottom of the picture. That's the Priestley-Coroval streets. That was always planned to be an extension of the STEP system. Our drawings indicate that the stubs that were put out at Priestley and at Coroval are going to be extended east into the subdivision with 2-inch lines. Those lines will be installed underground, again, with directional drilling. We're not digging up the road. We make holes where we have turns or where we need valves or cleanouts. So the pipes will be installed underground by drilling. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, did you say
2-inch lines. The lines that the village would be putting in are 2-inch diameter lines. Because don't forget, there are no solids. It's only liquid. Essentially, it's a small diameter, almost like a water main, small line. We have plans for the work that's proposed. We have profiles for where we're running. There will be excavation made in the streets where we have to insert a valve so that there can be lines can be turned off if we had to, and we put cleanouts in line. So in case there are any blockages, the village is able to get to them to clean out the lines without digging up the whole rows of streets. The only place we're going to be doing an open cut to install the pipe is where the road crosses the Coroval interior drain. We don't have enough clearance there to be able to get that pipe through accurately, so that's going to be an open cut. They'll put the 2-inch pipe in, they'll resurface on top of it, and they're going to repave that whole area between the two sections of the subdivision, between the east loop and the west loop. Once the lines are put in throughout the entire subdivision, they will be pressure and leakage tested to make sure there are no leaks and that everything is watertight, to make sure that there's no problem. Once the lines are put in and they're pressure tested and leakage tested, and we know they're ready for service, the lines will be turned over to the village, and Public Works will be handling individual connections to that 2-inch line. The line that would be running from the pump on your property would be, usually it's 1.25 inches diameter. Sometimes it's 1.5 inches. It depends what sizes it can get. So once we have finished our work with a contractor, Public Works takes over, and you'd be contacting them regarding your individual hookups to the house.
So we'll start with the installation itself. So what we'll require is that you get your existing tank inspected, because we don't want a broken or leaking tank. So you may end up having to replace your tank. This is the biotube. This is where the pump sits. This can either be installed inside your tank or right outside the tank in a basin. And we'll be supplying these. We have approximately 30 left, and those will be part of the cost of your application fee. So these will be free. From here, you'll run 1.25 inch line out to the street at the connection point. The way we're going to do this is the connection point, we can come back later and put this in exactly where you want, so you're not having to cross your property, so they won't be pre-installed. We'll install those once you do your application and determine where you want to be. So we're also going to ask you that we put a check valve. It'll be in your property with 2 ball valves, so make sure nothing comes back, even though there is one already on this unit. The other thing you're going to need to do is electrical. This is the control box that you're going to have. This will be running your pump. This has a low water alarm, which will go off, and what that does is when the filter becomes clogged, it's telling you time to service your filter in your tank. Then it has the pump on, and also has the high water alarm, which tells you something must be wrong with your pump or needs replacing or something like that. The pumps themselves were purchased like in 2015, I think it was, or 14. 2010, so those are no longer under warranty, but they are free. So.
Who's required?
Oh, well, so we're wondering about who's required to hook up, who can hook up, what are the options?
Okay, these aren't mandatory connections. If you sell your property, if your system is failed, what was the other?
New construction.
A new construction, yeah.
If your system's working fine and you have a good tank and a good leach field, you can keep it that way. If you have an advanced treatment system, you can keep it that way. You don't have to hook up. You only have to hook up if you sell your property. You don't have an existing advanced treatment system on that property. So if you sell your property, you have to replace that septic tank and leach field. And the owner can do it, or you can do it. The new owner can do it. If your system fails, either the leach field or your septic tank has a crack and you have to replace it, you hook up to the sewer line. You may still have to replace a septic tank if it's the septic tank that failed. But any work you do on your septic treatment system, more than likely going to have to hook up to the sewer line. It probably is, it will be cost effective in the long run. It'll be a fairly big ticket, I think, one big shot. If you have more questions about anything, Michael's going to leave a card.
There should be some up there at the podium.
We put in a new septic tank about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7, and a new leach field. So the other one lasted 30 years. So
Yeah, you should be good.
How big a lot do you have?
I have 1.9 acres.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
If you have a half-acre lot, it could be a problem.
I'm in the same boat. I put in a system that works so beautifully, it's never even had to be pumped. We have 1 acre, and will the cost remain the same when we sell to the buyer? Because, I mean, we have no need to do anything, but we'll be forced to take up the new system if we sell the property.
If you have an acre of land and a functioning septic tank and leach field, you should not have to replace it. You
Okay,
should not, because you don't have a substandard lot. NMED won't make them replace it.
it's subject to inspection.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
The rationale for all this was there were so many substandard lots in that area, half acre or some, maybe even less, I don't know.
A third, yeah.
We were told initially that everybody had to hook up, period, and we got them to compromise with us. And so the only mandate is new construction, failed leach field or septic system. And that's if you have a substandard lot. Substandard doesn't mean it's a bad lot, it just means it's not an acre.
And will these
Shoot, now I'm
costs,
blocking. What was the
If
other
you
one?
sell your property.
Oh, if you sell your property, yeah.
will these costs remain pretty static? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, everything goes up, but
We have no clue. If you are outside the 30 free tanks and you have to buy one, what'd you tell me they were, 3,000?
They're about 3,000 now.
So you'd have an extra 3,000 attached to the ticket, to the price.
okay, but you can hook up at any time. You just have to,
You can hook up, yes, if you want to hook up because you're a good citizen, you want to protect the groundwater, you can do that.
okay.
We do have a question on Zoom. Mr. Trefton, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I had actually a couple of them. The 2-inch line, the plug cost, if it gets plugged in the neighborhood, who's gonna field those plugged line costs for unplugging them?
The line will be under control of the Public Works Department, so that'll be ours.
Gotcha. The time frame for starting on this particular project?
I would like to get it started within 6 months. That's kind of what we're looking at, hoping for.
An advanced system, the definition of an advanced system, if it has the pump on it with the little light, is that correct?
Not necessarily. That could just be the lift pump that takes the effluent to your drain field.
Gotcha. So the definition of an advanced system, could you help me a little bit with how I would know if I have an advanced system or not?
It treats the water more effectively. There's so many out there, it's kind of hard to describe.
Okay, gotcha. So that's get a hold of the person that installed it and find that out?
Inspection? Don't they
Yeah, you're
require
gonna be
certain
required
inspections?
to get an inspection anyway.
Gotcha. Cost of this inspection is they're gonna have to pump it to be able to inspect it properly. Are we allowed 18 months to be able to take that inspection as per pumping needs?
I'll have to have the inspection when you do the application.
When we do the application is when we put the actual hookup to the city.
You'll have to fill out an application for approval. So with that is when I would like to have the,
I got you. So I'm gonna go along and do my regular thing, pump my pump every 18 months, so I keep my system clean and healthy. Then, once my system fails and I have to call the people, they're gonna come out, they're gonna say, Corrales has this new thing you gotta hook up to, then I'm gonna have to deal with that. If you've got one of those $3,000 things left, I'm good as gold. If you don't, I pay for one and it's gonna have a warranty.
perfect. Well, it doesn't have a warranty. Warranty on the pumps are expired.
Gotcha.
How about a new one?
Oh,
Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry, one more question. I have so that filter that we're putting in, what happens if this filter has any kind of problems? How do we have any idea on how much and how often these particular systems have issues? Is it a problematic system?
I really haven't seen any issues with it. It's made out of plastic, so it should last forever. You should get your system serviced regularly anyway, and what they'll do is the company will come out and clean your filter.
Sounds good. I believe you have answered all my questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
So one question I had, like our wellhead's in the front part of our property. How close can that line be to the wells? And even the lines that you're running out to there, what is the distance between the wellhead and those lines that to meet the code and things for the property?
What I run across is you want to keep your water line and your sewer line 10 feet apart. As far as your tank, you have to have 50 feet from the well.
Okay.
This does eliminate the 100 feet from the drain field.
Okay, so even that pipe, even that pipe that's running, let's say you run it right down the front of my house, that just has to be 10 foot from the wellhead. Okay, we're good. And then there is the drawing, right, that I can look at, because that's when it's those check valves and things. I listened last night.
Okay.
Just to check, any septic system with solids are still going to be in the bottom of them. That's not going to be affected by this effluent system. And does that mean that we're still going to need to get them pumped regularly?
You will still need to get them pumped regularly, but it should not affect your system because your solids will settle down to the bottom. It's taking the effluent from the middle. And that's how the tanks are designed. That's how come we're going to do the inspections, to make sure the tanks are up to code.
Are there fees for inspections?
No, that comes along with your application fee.
Is there a fee for the application?
The fee for the application is $500 to connect.
That's all, $500?
Mhm.
And the purpose of this is to save the groundwater, is that
Yes.
correct? Were you involved in the line that's running down the main street?
I'm in charge of it now, but I wasn't here when they installed it.
How is it working?
It's working good now.
Because I thought there were some problems at the beginning, some of the larger,
We did have some issues, but those have been resolved.
great. And then is there a monthly fee?
Yes, we'll get a monthly fee. I believe it's $30 a month.
Thank you.
Doesn't our current system need the effluent water to operate properly inside our current septic?
Does your system need it? No.
It does not.
It's going to be the exact same system you have now, except for the drain field. So instead of the water going out into the ground and the water table, we'll be taking and putting it down our line.
I didn't get much chance to look at the plans about the line that's going to be going down the interior drain. Could you expand on that a little?
We don't have a set of plans on that yet. But we did take the initiative to go ahead and put valves so this can be connected to part of that.
We do have another question on Zoom. Curtis's iPhone, go ahead.
Yes, my question was, I installed a advanced treatment system the end of 2018. Is that going to have to be inspected too, or is that good because it's new enough?
If you're not going to connect and it's not a mandatory that you connect, you should be okay, just the way it is, as long as it's operating properly.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Want to come look at the drawings or look at these things?
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of different
questions.
plans here to show you. And if you have-
Does anyone else on Zoom have questions?
Maybe after you look at stuff, you'll have more questions. So Steve came in today. Melanie got him donuts. That's what she said. And he made a cup of coffee. Yeah, he drove by while I was walking, and stood outside and waited for me to get there. I said, well, here, come on, get some coffee. I didn't know she had donuts, and she walked around and says, here. No, he was, wow.
You sent you, forward you an email on Arrowhead Development and Angel Roadway Construction.
These are the ones who want to take the wall down?
We're developing a parcel that adjoins the village of Corrales and was previously connected by Angel Roadway. Our access to the project is via NM and DOT facility 528. DOT has asked that we reach out to the village to discuss access to the site to the village.